Hey everyone, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the latest premiere session of Let's Talk Money and Kids. I hope you are having a fantastic day so far. I know I am because we are here inside the Kids Money Project and we are talking to Sarah Phillips today of the Four Pocket Money System. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing fantastic, Kim. Great to be here again with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming back. We are so grateful for all the information that you've been sharing with us. It is, I know parents are loving this information, so I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. But you know me, I tend to just dive right into things. So I tell you
Yeah.
what, since we are talking about a specific focus on your four pocket system today, if you would you just run down real quick the four ways that you talk about having their kids actually break down their allowance and kind of where it teaches them about money. So if you just run through those real quick for us, and then we'll dive in.
I would love to. So, our money management system for kids has kids dividing their money into four main areas. So, the spending area, that's always the easiest one for kids to understand.
Oh yeah.
There's savings that we talked about, I think it was maybe last month. Then there's two others that we haven't gotten to yet, investing and giving. And really, this is all based on what we did with our own kids through trial and error and built it up. And so, I like to teach those four different pillars when it comes to kids and money.
Oh, absolutely. And and that's part of the reason I wanted to connect with you, because so many people will talk about, three of those, but they leave off investing. And I get it. I understand. Of the four that you talk about, that's sometimes the one that a lot of people don't actually know that much about. And I think a lot of times it's just kind of forgot about. So I love your system that it includes that one as well. And I know we're going to talk more about that one too, kind of focus on it as well. But today we're going to focus on giving. So, let's just dive right in. And why do you think giving is an area? I mean, obviously, I think we all agree that we need to teach our kids to give. I mean, that's an important life concept and idea and everything. But why teach it when it comes to kind of money education?
Sure. So I guess a few things come to mind when it comes to that giving pocket, that giving portion of our money. So first, money is never just about money. So really when we're talking about all these different aspects of what we do with our money, with our finances, they really complement other areas of our children's education. So when it comes to money, kids, yes, absolutely. Giving part of our money, giving part of what we have is an important part. But I recently read the book, The Power of Half, about a family who downsized and used the rest of their money to do some good in the world. So fantastic book if anyone's looking for one. And they talk about giving being not only about money, but also time, talents, and treasures are other areas. And I think that really rounds out the giving piece when it comes to teaching our kids. We can give our time through volunteer work. We can give our talents if we're really good at something. I personally, my passion on the side is also calligraphy. So maybe I might take some of my skills and help a nonprofit through a skill that I have in particular, or through treasures, through things that we have that we can donate. Because I think donating things that we own, actual physical things, is another part of giving that kids can often see. So the money aspect is really just one component when it comes to teaching our kids to give. Now, today we've talked about, I think back when we were talking about saving money and spending money, we talked about how kids don't see money anyways, see money these days. It's not physical. Back when we were kids, we would see our parents take the money out of the bank, go to the store and spend it. But I really think this is important when it comes to the giving side, because it certainly plays a part when it comes to spending money. But when it comes to giving, our kids aren't seeing us give money the same. When it comes to school fundraisers, I don't know about you, I remember coming home with those big oversized envelopes with all the lines, and
Yes.
you'd go door to door to all your neighbors, and they would give you a few dollars, and you'd mark it all onto the envelope.
Mhm.
And so kids would see physically, they would take your money and bring it in, and they would see the cause that was going towards. I've really seen that evolve watching my kids grow up. they're not seeing us give the same. My son brings home a flyer about a fundraiser, and late at night when he's in bed, I log on, create an account, donate off of my card or out of my account to them, and then I just let him know afterwards, and he shrugs his shoulders and says okay, and goes in. And so they're not physically seeing us give. And giving can be such an important part of our lives. It's important that they understand what we're doing behind the scenes and that they start to get involved. And I think the last point I'd raise is really this mindset of gratitude when we're helping others. I think it really makes us more mindful of being thankful for everything that we have ourselves. And so really when we teach our kids to take some of what they have, share it with others, we're really building that gratitude mindset that is so important.
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more there. And it is important to show them that because, like you said, they don't see it like when we were growing up. It's all done on a computer, a few clicks of the button. There's no actual money that changes hands anymore. And so, yeah, it can absolutely, that message can be lost because, well, like you said, he kind of shrugged his shoulders like, okay. And it just doesn't compute the same way. And so yeah, it's absolutely. So how would we actually go into kind of putting this into our money management, and then what are some of the challenges that can kind of come up, because I can see that definitely having some issues there.
Absolutely. So let's start with implementation. What I recommend is taking a certain percentage of when our kids get money that goes into their giving pocket or giving envelope or whatever system you have at home. I recommend about 10%. It's a decent amount that it can accumulate, but not so much that the kids feel that all of their money is going in. But you really need to choose the amount that's right for you, right for your family. But then the other part that we really need to think about isn't just getting our kids to set that money aside, but what are they going to do with that money? And there's two main schools of thought, or two main ideas of what kids can do with their giving money. First being donating to some kind of a charity or a cause that's important to them, or they may want to use that money, or may want to encourage them to use that money more towards gift giving, towards buying something for someone else. And really, when it comes from their own money, it means a lot more than buying a gift with your money. And I love that you asked me about challenges. I knew I was coming on today. I knew we were going to be talking about giving. So I was reflecting a little bit on how this actually played out when we implemented with our own kids. And as much as I think altruistically, we can want to start this giving process and think it'll go smoothly and that our kids will fully understand. I want to be honest and upfront and say we hit some challenges that we did not anticipate when it came to this. And I'm going to protect the innocent. I'm not going to name which of my kids I'm going to refer to in each of these stories. I found sometimes as kids were older, especially when we started this, when they were a bit older, there was a little bit of a questioning, why do I have to do this? I think kids are going through that stage. There's a lot more things they want. There might be more interest in brand names. And there was, I don't want to say a resentment towards setting money aside, but it just wasn't clear. They had not fully bought into this process. And kids amaze me. They are so smart. And the one came to us one day and said, hey guys, I think I figured out what I want to do with my giving money. And already alarm bells are going off in my head. I knew we were in for something creative when it came to this. And he said, I think I'm going to save it up until there's enough there that we can buy a ticket in the local children's hospital lottery. And that way I'm doing something good, but I might also win something. And we had to stop for a minute. We said, you know what, like Children's Hospital, great cause. We support it completely. We just weren't comfortable that this was fully instilling what we intended with this giving money, this
Right.
idea of giving without strings attached. And so we had to have some discussions around that. I had to talk to my husband about how we wanted to approach this, and certainly have some discussions. So thinking about setting some parameters is always important.
Yeah.
And if you can set those ahead of time, you can save yourself some of these uncomfortable discussions later on in the process. With younger kids, what I found, especially in the gift giving idea, is that kids maybe haven't fully developed the idea of putting themselves into someone else's shoes. And so we want to encourage them that it's their choice. You're buying this gift for someone else. But kids will often, especially younger kids, default to the thing that it is that they want the most. So Mother's Day is coming up. Let's buy something for grandma. What should we get grandma? Let's get grandma a video game. Well, maybe grandma doesn't want a video game. Maybe that's not a gift. That is something grandma, I understand that you think a video game is a fantastic gift idea. And so sitting down and encouraging them. So this really is going to be a process. This isn't a system that we put in place once and we just tell our kids, now you have giving money and we're going to give. There are going to be a lot of great, interesting discussions as you go through this process. And I'm sure every family is unique. Every family is going to run across different challenges, but just keep those conversations going. These are great opportunities to share and teach our kids.
Oh, well, absolutely. And that, I mean, it goes with everything that you're teaching your kids that there's a repetition that has to happen. It's not a one conversation and, oh, got it, they're good to go. It's every time you get the chance to kind of reiterate it and put it forward, and they're not going to get it the first time or the second time, more than likely. And then on something that, like you said, they may not totally buy into the concept, particularly at certain ages when like you said, they're getting to a point where there's more things they're wanting. Some of these things are a little bit more expensive. And so maybe they're kind of like, well, but I could save this much, maybe start cutting back on that giving part of it. And so they can save more for what they're looking for. And it's just, I mean, it's a maturity thing. It's an age
Yeah.
thing. They'll figure it out as they go, but you have to keep reiterating it and showing them why it's important. And so, yeah, absolutely. I love a lot of the tips. And of course, you mentioned there were two ways, kind of donating and like gift giving and things like
Yes.
that. And so I was going to see if we could dive maybe a little bit deeper into each one of those. And so maybe starting with the donating, you kind of have tips on how to, I guess, really kind of introduce this, or how to get kids, I guess, understanding this principle a little bit better.
Absolutely. So when it comes to donating, and we actually just went through this process with our kids over the holidays. We had some money set aside in giving. We hadn't focused on it recently. The first thing we did was brainstorm causes. We can't just go to our kids and expect them to know which charities and organizations always exist. So we did a brainstorm about what causes are important to you. A little aside, something we're doing lately a lot with our kids when it comes to brainstorming is using post-it notes. You take a post-it note, you write an idea and you put it up on the wall. Our kids are getting really, I think, inundated with worksheets. And so sitting and having to write on a piece of paper just feels a little bit like school for
Mhm.
them. So we try to get them out of their chairs, doing something tactile. So we got out the sticky notes. We were brainstorming all the different causes. There are things related to environment, things related to poverty, all the issues going on right now, people in need because of COVID-19. There's animals, and animals is where we ended up landing in terms of a cause that our kids wanted to support. But brainstorming the ideas before you start focusing on specific organizations is a great way to bring kids along on that journey and understanding. We actually ended up on the animal side. We adopted a lemur earlier this year. That's how we decided to
Oh,
take our
wow.
money. We've supported a particular lemur, and we got the card in the mail. So that's where we landed when it came to animals. Second, and that's a great segue into my second point, is that living gifts are a great idea, because sometimes we can donate to an organization and it's hard to explain to kids exactly what their money is going to go towards. There's a lot of fantastic organizations out there that do research, but explaining that to kids, what
Right.
they're doing and how that helps, it can be harder, especially for younger kids to understand. But we often get in the mail these living gifts. I know Plan International, I'm not affiliated with them. That's one that happens to arrive in our mailbox, and we go through it, because if kids can understand, I'm giving this money, it's buying a goat for a family that now is going to be able to have the milk, make the cheese, and have this goat that will help not only them but give them things to sell. It's something tactile that they can understand, or they can understand that they bought so many mosquito nets that are going to help families, and here's the issue, and we can talk through those things. So living gifts are a fantastic idea if your kids are having trouble understanding exactly what good their money is going to do. It gives them something a little more tactile to focus on. Last is get to know the organization, do some research. This doesn't have to be a quick sit down in 10 minutes, figure it out, donate the money. And this really became apparent to me. My son's school, the youngest, they did a project pre-COVID, where they had to go out and actually make money for a cause and then come back and do a presentation on the money they made and who they were giving it to. So we live where it's snowy. They set out in their like snow shoveling endeavors, made a lot of money, and decided they wanted to give it to the local food bank. And when we sat down and said, okay, how are we going to do this? Their idea automatically was, okay, we're going to go to the store, we're going to buy food, and then we can take and drop it off at the food bank, which is fantastic. It's a wonderful way to give. It's very tactile. They can see us giving. But we did a little bit of research together and found out that food banks have great buying power with the grocery stores, so that what might cost one, where for he might get something for $1, they can get 5 of those things for $1. And so that actually by giving the food bank the cash rather than something tactile, they were actually able to stretch it about 5 times further. And that was really interesting. And we did that research together, and we let him make the final decision as to how do you want, what way would you prefer to give. But we took the time, we started researching the organization. How does it work? What are their preferences? What do they need? And I think that's great to make this, all you homeschoolers out there, this can be a great project where it can be about so much more than just giving money. There can be a lot of different research aspects to it. So make it helps to give a little bit more meaning to it if you take the time and get to know that organization.
Well, I love that because, like you said, there you could learn so much in that research. Not knowing that they can actually get a lot more for the dollar than you can going out. Which, I mean, doing it either way is great, but if you can do more good by giving it to them and letting them, because they have some resources in place, do it that way, and it can just go that much further, and you can help that many more people. So, well, I love it. Now, let's maybe go into the second one on the gift giving side of it. Do you have kind of some tips on that one?
Absolutely. So first is the idea of empathy. So what we're really bringing out in our kids here is that ability to put yourself into someone else's shoes, take a little bit of time, brainstorm what does that other person enjoy. So what are their passions, their hobbies, getting them to think about what will put a smile on someone else's face. You can think about when you want to introduce gift giving. It could be around a certain holiday. There's birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day. There's a lot of different opportunities. They may not have enough money to cover all of those, so you may want to concentrate on one or two. We like in our family, we celebrate Christmas in our family, so we really like to bring out at Christmas time because it creates a sense of balance between, it's a time when they're often receiving a lot of things, and so we like to introduce that time of year not just being about writing your list of the things that you want, but turning to your attention to what other people want, what would make other people happy, how can you put a smile on someone else's face Christmas morning. So we try to use it as a balance to a time of year that is very much or can be very much about receiving, but pick and choose. Maybe Mother's Day and Father's Day is something that's more important, and you want the child to be a little more invested in or self-invested in. um, so and then really focus on how is the other person reacting. I think you can see a lot of pride in kids, and you want them to go through that experience. You want them to understand how good it feels to be someone who gives a gift, someone who, and I think they put a lot of pride into it when it's their own money that is in there. I've seen my son actually say to his friends at birthday parties, I bought that with my own money. They really invest themselves in it, and you want them, it's all about having our kids have some wins when they're younger, so they start establishing these habits and have really bought into these habits and carry them forward as they get older.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's perfect. And they take pride in it. They accomplished something, and it's good to recognize that accomplishment because it is an accomplishment. They learned something and then actually put it into action. And so that's absolutely right. So, well, thank you so much for sharing all of this information on giving because, you know, uh, a lot of people do maybe a jar system or an envelope system and stuff, but, maybe don't understand some of the ways to break down what the different envelopes are. And giving can be one of those that I think sometimes can get lost on some of the explanation because a lot of times as parents, I think we think, oh, well, it's in the name. Giving, it's in the name, and so we maybe don't go into as much of the explaining part of it as maybe we should because we have to remember they don't know, they have never heard this stuff. what they have picked up, we don't know if it's right or wrong. We have to sometimes do some correcting out there. So, but no, I absolutely appreciate you coming and joining in with the Kids Money Project to help us understand how that works and everything. And I know we'll have you back explaining the investing side of it and everything too. So that will cover all four of them and everything. So, and I know you said you had a maybe a special or something running in February.
We did, and actually it ties in perfectly with giving. I set this up separately, but it actually segues perfectly with what we're talking about today.
Uh-huh.
Is that really I'm when I started all of this, I'm really on a mission. I really want us to raise a generation of kids that understand about money, that have this ingrained in them from a young age. That's why we created our money management system, the four pocket allowance, with the four pockets that we talked about earlier. And so in that spirit, for just for the month of February, I'm running what I call Freebie February. And we're actually giving away our allowance kits for free. We just ask people to cover the cost of shipping. So we want to give these away for free. And I know people say there's no such thing as a free thing, or there's always some kind of a hook. All we're asking is that you share about it. Share about it on your network or your social media or with friends and family, and just help us get the word out there about what we're doing and the importance of kids and money. We hope people will follow us along. We do a lot of great things on Instagram, on Facebook. So we encourage you to check all of that out and just share the message out there. So if you're interested in it, feel free to hop over, follow us on Instagram, or or just DM me like below this message, and I'll happily send you all the information about our Freebie February schedule. It's a one-time thing. We've never done this before, and it really is just it's completely giving from our side.
Wow, that is an incredible offer and so generous of you to put out there. So yes, take advantage of it. And yes, absolutely share this out there because, we can have all kinds of different things that help us do things, but tools can always make it just a little bit easier if you're not having to try to design how to do it yourself. Or, I've always been a little hesitant of the jars because, I guess you can use plastic jars, but, glass jars, young kids, accidents happen, they break, you don't want them cutting themselves and things like that. So, but
Yeah,
it
we
is
also
important to
did 3 kids, so 4 jars each times 3 kids. That was 12 jars. That's a lot of counter space for us. So
have,
we
yeah.
needed something a little more compact, a little more convenient on our end.
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, I have mine sitting right here. I'll show it here real quick. There we go. So
Ah,
you can see it and see how
fantastic.
wide it is, and it opens right up. Oh, oh no, they're there. They're just kind of pulling out there. So and you got your different envelopes and everything. So yeah, very compact because yes, 12 jars would have definitely taken up some serious room. But well, Sarah, again, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge and everything on allowance, because I know that can definitely be an area that a lot of people, it's sometimes it can be a little hard to figure out exactly how to do the allowance. And there's some controversy around it because everybody's like, do you give an allowance? You shouldn't give your kids money. And there's so many different ways that you can set that up, and you have to do what works for your family. So I appreciate you coming and giving all of your information to us and sharing it with us. Take advantage of her February gift because that is an amazing gift. So definitely take advantage of that, and then share that out. Let's get that message out there. That's what we're all about, is teaching as many parents as possible how to use these tips and everything to create these money smart kids. So thank you, Sarah, and we look forward to seeing you again here real soon.
Thank you so much, Kim. Pleasure as always. We look forward to the next one.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. And we will see everybody here just a little bit later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.